Good evening, everyone. And for tonight's session, we're going to look into introduction to playwright. Oh my God! So, for tonight's objectives, we're going to look into what is playwright, why playwright. We will look into the auto mechanism of playwright, the auto weighting mechanism of playwright, installation of playwright that's using JavaScript, and we'll look into playwright test keywords. So, we'll look into some keywords that we use in playwright. Just a few of them, or not all of them, but what you're going to see in your day-to-day tasks, day-to-day life as you work in or as you work with playwright. Then we'll talk about the playwright configuration. So and Q&A. Okay. So what exactly is playwright? So playwright is a fast modern UI automation. So the UI means user interface, or rather to be precise, web UI automation, because UI automation can actually be for mobile application or even desktop application. So UI is anything you can see or the user can actually interface with. Yeah, so it's used for modern web automation framework, and it was created by Microsoft. And Playwright is designed for end-to-end web testing, and it supports multiple browser such as Chromium, and Chromium is just a brand of browser. So and under Chromium we have Chrome, we have Edge, we have what other product do we have? So but we have like multiple browsers. Even the new OpenAI browser, which is Codex, is also a type of Chromium, right? And Chromium is open source browser, which anyone can just get online. And if you know how to install browser, or if you know how to configure browser, then you can configure the Chromium to your taste. We also have Firefox, which is also a type of browser on its own. And we have WebKit, that is Safari, or rather Safari. Then Playwright works with multiple programming languages, or 4 or 5 programming languages, depending on how you want to classify it. The first one is JavaScript or TypeScript, and this session we're going to be focusing on the TypeScript, sorry, the JavaScript I meant. And you can also use Playwright with Python. So if the Playwright knowledge you learn from this course, and once you learn Python program language, then you can apply it. There are only few changes, and we can talk about that later on in the course. Then another one is Java. So you could use Java and Playwright, but Java, out of all of them, Java is really used with Playwright, and I'll talk about it later on why. And another one again is C Sharp. So after JavaScript, right, that is mainly used with Playwright. The next one I see people using is JavaScript and TypeScript are mainly used to create your Playwright test. The next one is Python and C Sharp. So initially, Playwright was designed for JavaScript or TypeScript or Node.js in particular. Then they thought about supporting multiple languages, as in popular languages like Python, Java, and C Sharp, to make it more robust and um, have multiple users using the framework. So why I say Java is not really being used with Playwright is because um, the Java, it has to do with asynchronous programming, which Java is not really a friend of. So Java, when it comes to multi-threading, which is how can you run multiple instances? So it's a little bit complex, but Java makes use of threads, virtual threads, and which is not what Playwright was actually designed to work with. Playwright was designed to be asynchronous. So and it makes use of different thread. It's a little bit complex, but just know that you can use it with any of these 4 languages. So, and why is Playwright good for beginners? So, it's very easy to write Playwright compared to Selenium, right? It has stable element locator. So, if you work with Selenium before, you know that sometimes it does tend to get exceptions, and the exception is just about maybe stale elements exception. You can have maybe you can have different unknown exception. why do I have this? Or your test will just fail for the most basic reason. So you'll be like, okay, what's the other solution? My company plan on creating a new project for my company plan on creating automation test for a new project. So what will be the better alternative? I then I'll say go with Playwright. But before you go into Playwright, is your team trained in Playwright? Then if they are trained in Playwright, then they can use Playwright. So another one is excellent debugging tools. So one of the limitations of Selenium is the debugging tool. So if you want to debug in Selenium, you probably have to go to the C# layer of things. There's no UI debugging, and it makes tests fail very easily. So, we'll talk about the debugging tool next week, right? But it has a very, very interesting debugging tool, and it can help you to pick a stable element locator. So, with the help of the debugging tool, so you can pause, you can play your tests, so you can inspect element along the way. You can even create steps by using the debugging tool. So the debugging tool, it look at what you are doing and it gives you the corresponding JavaScript C# steps for you to use so that you don't disturb yourself. But the downsides with that is that it doesn't support page object model, which is what we're going to be focusing on going forward. Then it also has reliable auto waiting. So, and going back to the Selenium, so if you have worked with Selenium, if you don't do explicit wait or implicit wait at the beginning of your test, and it doesn't find element within 1-2 seconds, your test is going to fail. But with Playwright, it's going to wait for the browser to actually load before it interacts with the element. So which is very, very important if you are running thousands of tests and just because of 1 second a element has not loaded, that's why it failed. It's not going to be nice, right? Because you may have to run 10,000 of tests in the pipeline or thousands of tests in the pipeline every day. So similar to what we said, so why Playwright? So the auto wait for element actually reduce flaky tests. It has in a built-in test runner. It's very, very good for parallel execution. And this parallel execution, I'll say this is why it's very, very good. So if you have a pipeline, so a pipeline is for the CI/CD. So or you run your test in the pipeline in CI/CD, such as Azure DevOps. So and Azure has a Azure pipeline. So in that pipeline is where you run your tests. Now, before you push anything to production, you run your test in the pipeline. So once it is ready and it passes all your tests, then it's going to move to the production. Then it's going to be automatically be deployed. So you can set it that way. But I'm not a DevOps guy. So but with the help of Playwright, you can run multiple tests. You can run hundreds of tests, but that is not really supported in Selenium without extra configuration. But it is out of the box when it comes to Playwright. So another one is again is screenshot videos and maybe logs. So with the help of Playwright, we can take screenshots, we can take videos with just a simple method, right? If our test fail without configuration, we can actually take screenshots and videos and even logs by the default Playwright method. However, you can also configure this by yourself. Maybe you want external tools that you want to use maybe for your test, then yeah, you can configure it with Playwright. So with Playwright, you also have API testing support. So that's something that Selenium doesn't have, right? So Selenium cannot do API testing. So when it comes to Selenium, you have to use a different framework such as REST Sharp or um I don't know, or maybe Postman if you want to test. You want to do API testing. So that's one reason why you want to use Playwright. Maybe you are doing both API testing and web UI testing. And that reason for Playwright is it supports cross browsers out of the box and mobile emulation. So the cross browser is the one that I said it supports Chromium, Firefox, Mozilla. So that is the cross browser. So that Playwright actually supports cross browser. And the mobile emulation is the fact that you may want to view a particular thing in a phone. So you don't need to open the website on the phone and run Appium for you to do that. We can also emulate it in the in the mobile version, which is very very easy to do with Playwright. So and another thing with the cross browser is if you work with Selenium, you've noticed that if the browser version doesn't match with the driver version, so the browser version, maybe we're currently on version 141 or 143, if it doesn't match with the driver version, maybe Chrome 141, then it's not going to be compatible and it can make your test fail. So as you're updating your browser, you need to be updating your drivers. And the thing is that there may be delays in the driver release. So if there is a delay, you won't be able to run your test or you won't be getting the right result, which is bad. And why is it bad? One, the browser may update because of a very, very high security vulnerability. And if it's upgrade and they've not released the patch or they've not released the upgrade for the Selenium driver, then your test is not going to run. So it's a little bit tricky, but if you work with Selenium, you know that, oh, yeah, what I'm saying is it makes a lot of sense. Then another one again is by default, Playwright comes with HTML test report, and this HTML test report is customizable, so you can customize it to your taste as long as you know JavaScript. So once you know JavaScript and you know a little bit of HTML, you can design to your company, which we're going to do, but not tonight. So let's talk about the auto waiting. So I've talked about Playwright actually makes it waits, but what is it exactly waiting for? So unlike other test framework, Playwright automatically waits for elements to be visible, elements to be clickable, network calls to finish, page to load. So if element is not visible, so in Selenium, it's going to throw an error. That element is not found. It can be due to network delays, right? It can just be that, oh, this element is not, it's not that it's not going to be visible later on, but it takes maybe 1 second for it to be visible. But because of you did not set an explicit wait for it to wait, then it is going to fail. So elements be clickable in the sense that some elements once you open a website, it doesn't get interactable at first, maybe due to some security checks or maybe some network issue. So in that time, if Selenium or other framework is trying to click the button or click the header or whatever you're trying to click, it's gonna fail because it can't click it unless you want to make use of some special things like JavaScript to click. But Playwright was written in JavaScript, so all those issues like waiting for element to be clickable is actually being solved very easily. Now the next one is network call. So there's some background calls that may need to finish, but because of Selenium, I've seen that this page has loaded, then I can just click on it. It's still going to fail because the network call has not finished, and you're going to get a very very unrelated error. It's going to throw an exception that doesn't even relate to what is actually going on. The highest you just get is that this element or this place is where it failed, but the error is going to give is going to be something entirely different, and you will never see anything related to network at all. So it's a little bit so the error in Selenium is poor. I'll even put that in. So and now and again, this player actually waits for page to load. So there's some time that page may need to load. So and playwright actually waits for that page to load before proceeding. And with the help of playwright, there's no need for you to do a wait for timeout. So you could set an explicit wait, which is wait for timeout, or you could actually make the test to sleep or pause, and you can add custom waits when it comes to playwright. So, but there's no need for it because it does this automatically. But there's no one to fit. Also, there may be some time that you may need this. So then there are the method you can use for it. You can design your custom weights. So we're going to be installing Playwright, right? So I'm just going to discuss this part and someone is going to share their screen. So now to create Playwright, you just need to create a folder, right? So you create a folder and you initialize a project. And the second one is going to be you're going to install Playwright. And it's just this simple command you're going to be using to install Playwright. So this npm init Playwright at latest. Then you ask that you want to install these packages. You click on yes. Then you see get started with writing end-to-end tests with Playwright. Then you pick on do you want TypeScript or JavaScript. Then you select JavaScript. And where do you want to put your end-to-end test in? You can also leave the default. So as you can see, this is how you're going to have it. Do you want to use JavaScript or TypeScript? So I selected JavaScript. Where do you want to put your end-to-end test? You can also leave the default as test. Then add a GitHub action workflow. So GitHub action workflow is for CI/CD pipeline. So and it's way advanced than that. So you just pick on false. Then, if not, you'll be required to install GitHub and the whole process is long. Then another one again is this Playwright browser. So it can be done manually. So just install Playwright browser. So that next time you won't need to install Playwright browser. Then it's going to install Playwright test, and that's the end. You're going to have a test. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen now. So please, can you pause the recording so that someone can share their screen? Owen. So now the first step is for us to create a new folder. So you can create a new folder anywhere and you open to Visual Studio. So to create a new folder, you can just click on File. So you can open folder, click on Open Folder, not File. You can cancel this one. You can click on Open Folder. Open Folder. Yeah. Then you can create a new folder in your download. I think you right click, no, just right click in download. Then you see create new folder. New. So you scroll down to new folder. So you can name it anything you want to name it. It has cancelled. So the name is still new folder for now. So you see that new folder, you have to rename it. So it is under today. Yeah, you have to rename it. So you can rename it and just call it Playwright Framework. You don't be space. So put a dash in between the Playwright and the framework. Hyphen or dash. Yeah, framework. Click on enter. Then you select that folder. So you click on it. Then you click on select folder. So you can decide to save it and save it. So now we've done the first step, which is for us to create a folder and open it in Visual Studio Code. So now the next step is for us to open our terminal. So when you see file edit section, there's a three dots. There's a three dot file edit section. There's three dots here. You see terminal. Yeah, click on it. Click on terminal. Scroll down to terminal. The new terminal. And you can memorize the command Control Shift Plus. Now you change it from PowerShell to CMD. Now it's currently in PowerShell. So to change it from PowerShell, there's no click on that drop down. Not the plus, the drop down. So, to command prompt. Command prompt is just below PowerShell. Yes, please. Yes, click on it. So we've changed it to CMD. Now, the next step is for us to do npm init playwright at latest. So I'm going to send it um to the charts. Bear with me, let me copy it. I've sent it to the charts.
Sorry, I think yeah, Mr. Gabriel hands is up.
Oh, sorry. Please go on. Sorry, Mr. Gabriel, your hands are up.
Yeah. Good evening.
Yeah, good evening.
My question is, you asked him to change from a PowerShell to command prompt. Why? What is the reason? What is the difference? Or why the change?
Okay, so by default, PowerShell will not allow you to run the command. So we could try it, right? So that you can see it yourself. So unless you've configured your PowerShell, which I don't want to change any on PowerShell, right? But generally speaking, you won't be able to run it on PowerShell by default. So Ola, please, I have sent it to the group to the meeting. So just copy it, check the chat on Zoom. Please check the chat on Zoom.
Yes, I have. I've copied.
You've copied it already. So
Yeah.
can you paste it in PowerShell? So that don't create a new profile, just click on the previous profile, right? So you can where you have CMD that is being selected, like a blue line towards your right a little bit, then click on PowerShell above it. So that's how you switch. So you can paste it and click on enter. So to paste it, right, you see where there is like a see blue square, like a rectangle square. Sorry. Rectangle box. Not that one. Inside where you see no, not there, not that one. Towards inside the terminal, as if where you can type. Yeah. So you click on it, focus, yeah, then paste it, Control V, and click on enter. It's going to tell you that see it's disabled on the system, blah blah blah. So it's going to throw an error, right? So, but if you do the same thing on CMD or command prompt, you are going to get the results we're expecting. So, as you can see, you want to install Playwright. So, I hope I was able to answer your question. Why I change it to CMD? So, click on yes.
Yes.
Okay. So, please, Ola, please click on yes. Or you can just click on enter. So, the default is yes. So, you click on JavaScript, right? Because we are working with JavaScript. So to change it, you see your there's the up and down button on your keyboard. So you just click on the down button on your keyboard. You can't use your mouse. Yeah, so that's it. Then click on enter. So you just click on enter. So then click on no. N. Just click on N on your keyboard. So N is for no. Then click on yes. Y. Or click on enter. So it is installing Playwright. Okay. So and Like I said, Playwright installed its own browser because it doesn't want compatibility issues. That's why Playwright is very, very good for compatibility testing. So compatibility testing is a testing where you test based on different environments, and that environment can be different web browsers. As you can see, it is installing its own browser so that it doesn't have issue like Selenium does. Oh, this driver is not compatible with this browser. Oh, you need to either downgrade your browser or you upgrade the driver. So, and you don't want that. So you can see it has to install its own browser itself. Now, we've installed the Playwright, right? So this is how you install Playwright. But before we run our tests, the first thing is for us to do you know where to click on the extension? Do you know how to install the extension? Hello. Okay. Move to your left.
No,
Move to your
which
left. Move the cursor to your left. Then scroll up. You see where that like there's a four box together? No. Scroll down. Scroll down. Move where there's a four box together. More like a three box that are aligned. Then the other box is moving towards the right. Scroll up. It's up. Just scroll up. After this profile, if you move up after the profile, four boxes. Yeah, extensions. You click on it. Then we'll search for Playwright. So you search for Playwright extension. So Playwright is the first one. Is you should install the first one. So the next extension we're going to be installing is going to be the Cucumber extension. So you delete what you currently have, the Playwright, then you search for Cucumber. Yeah, pick the first and the second one. Install them, both of them. I just click on install. Install the second one also. Trust Publisher. Install the second one. Yeah, Gabriel, your hands are up.
Yeah, sorry for disturbing. My question is why the two?
Because we want to use some features from both of them.
Does it mean the two must be installed as in the Cucumber in bracket 𝐂𝐍𝐍𝐄𝐓 and the second one?
Not necessary all the time, but because of there's some configuration we need from both of them. So if we were using IDE like WebStorm, but it's not free. It's free if you are learning, but if you are going to the commercial world, it's not free. You have to pay for it. So it comes with its own Cucumber, right? Those are people that did IntelliJ. So if you have used IntelliJ before, that IntelliJ is used for Java IDE and it's free to use. But WebStorm is not. Okay, but to answer your question, there's some feature we need from Cucumber, the first Cucumber and the second Cucumber. So they don't provide the same features. You can see they are from different author. The second Cucumber is from the original Cucumber, which is what we should have installed, but it's lack some features that we need. So that's why I said we should install it soon. Hope
Okay.
it makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
So as you can see, the people that created Cucumber, their plugin is the Cucumber, but as you can even notice, it's not the most used. So the most used is the Cucumber 𝐂𝐍𝐍𝐄, which was written by Alexander. So I think that's all we need for now. Right. So if you go back to now, just if you look at your test, so underneath it, you notice that there's a test symbol, right? So not underneath the extension square, the square boxes, there's a test symbol. So you scroll down. Scroll down. After the boxes, yeah, just click on it. Yeah, that's the testing. So it was created by Playwright. As you can see, our Playwright test has appeared there. So, but we won't be using this testing going forward. We'll be using Cucumber. That's why we are actually to install Cucumber. But if we were to look at the new interface, so if you look at the tools, you can see we can pick selector, we can record new steps, we can review test output. You can expand it up a little bit. Yeah, that's clear. So as you can see, we can run it with Chromium, Firefox, WebKit, so as you can see, it has a lot of features compared to Selenium, right? So now, but we won't be using all of them. In fact, you will never use all the features when it comes to Playwright because it has tons of features. It's so robust that yeah. So now go back to the file. So just click on the file icon. Yeah, so not the file itself, like the file icon is the icon that look like two documents here, the Explorer. Yeah, click on it. So now let us look into so okay, so we've done our installation for you. So to complete the installation, right? I'm going to send you a code. So that code is what um you're just going to copy and paste, and I'll just quickly go around everyone to check that they have everything installed for proceeding. So now coming. Oh, Olusegun wants to ask a question. Or was able to answer his question too. So I have sent something to the chat, right? So you can copy it and I'll show you where to put it in the test or in Visual Studio Code. So please, if you can copy it all out. Ola, please, can you copy what I sent or have you copied it?
Yes, I have.
Thank you. So when you go to I just do you see these settings with one in the icon row. So if you scroll down, there's one that is showing one. It's like a settings, like a gear icon, right? So click on it, then click on settings, then search for settings again. So you will see settings.json, right? So if you scroll down a little bit, you see settings.json. Scroll down a little bit, or you can minimize the terminal a little bit downwards. You can close it here. Anyone wants. So click edit in settings.json. Then you delete what you currently have, right? You delete everything you currently have, then you paste what no when I mean delete, just delete 1 to 5. And then you paste it. So that is what we need to do. Okay. So and you can save it. So once you save it, this is just for us to select some settings. So in Visual Studio Code, this is how we update the settings. As you can see, if you've used IntelliJ before, which is a full IDE, things are very, very easy to configure. But this one we have to start writing in JSON file. But this is way configurable than IntelliJ. But if you scroll up, right, let me just explain the code. So the first one is our cucumber.feature. So once we learn about BDD later on, then so it's just to show that our test can be in src/test. So the double star means anything after any folder after the test is going to be recognized as a test folder for our feature file. Then the star.feature means anything with inside that folder, inside the src/test that ends with the feature is going to be recognized as a Cucumber feature file. Right. So similarly, the anything after the src that ends with dot feature is going to be recognized as a feature file. Then anyone with src/features, like now there's an S, and it also ends with if the feature is going to recognize features double double. So this is just a simple one. And similarly with our step definition, so we have step definition for JavaScript, TypeScript, src.ts. So anything that can be seen inside this cucumber.glue will be recognized as a proper step definition. Okay. So you can close the settings of JSON. Then I'll just check around the intent. Then before we continue. So you can stop sharing your screen, please. Yeah, Gabriel.
Sorry, Ola, please can you repeat that again? I didn't really get that.
What parts exactly?
The feature that you asked my colleagues to paste, which you make the explanation on.
It's just configuration files for Cucumber. So it's just to tell Cucumber. So those extensions that we installed are not smart. So it's just to tell them that okay, this is where you need to find our feature file. This is where you need to find our step definition. Because once we don't put that, it's going to always highlight it that oh, we don't have our feature file and it's not going to run properly. Hope it makes sense. So it's for you to tell those extension that okay, you know what? Look when you look into this part of the test or this part of our code and you see that it is in the SRC folder and under the SRC it is in the features folder, then does it end with a feature file? Okay, yes, it is a feature file, then it's a recognized test that we can run. So I hope it makes sense. Yeah, Owen, please go on.
Quick one. I just wanted to find out when you write the code in that setting, do you save it or you just leave it there? How do you save
You
it?
save it. You need to just Control S and
Oh,
you're good to
control.
go.
Okay.
Yes. So if you want to know you've saved it, if you just make a change, you're going to see like a white dot just above the file name or very close to the file name, if I'm not wrong. Then after that, once you click Ctrl S, the white dot is going to disappear. It
Oh,
shows that you've done it already.
okay. Thank you.
Yeah. So please, Ajibola, please share your screen. So I'm just going around to ensure that everyone, all of you have it set up. Ajibola, please. Do you want to share your screen, please? Ajibola, can you hear me? Please share your screen.
Yes, I'm coming.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so you have not installed Playwright. Okay, so you need to create a new folder. So create a new folder. No, don't select that folder. Create a new one. So click on open folder. Right. So in your file explorer, in your download, create a new folder. Just right click in the download folder. Then you see new. So scroll down to new. Scroll down to new. Then click on folder. Then give it like Playwright framework. And then Playwright framework. Actually Playwright. RIGHT, not RITE. WRIGHT, sorry, WRIGHT. Then a dash between the playwright and the framework. So then now go open the chart. I've sent you what you need. Sorry, open your terminal, I meant. Open the terminal. So you click after the go. Sorry, no, don't create a new file. So after the file edit selection view go, there's a three dots. Not down, not down. Up after the file, yeah. Click on terminal, new terminal. So change it from PWSA to CMG. So change from PowerShell. So PWSH is PowerShell. So change from PowerShell. So to change it, there's a plus button and there is a drop down. So click on drop down, change it to command prompt. Command prompt is below git bash. Or you can also use git bash. So it's going to work. So then I've already sent what you need. So check the chat. I've sent it. So the first command is what you should just copy. So if you open Zoom, just copy the first command. So that's the first thing I sent by 10 o'clock. Have you copied it?
Where should I put it?
It is in the Zoom meeting. I've sent
Like,
it to the chat.
where should I put it?
Have you? If you have copied it, you paste it there. Yeah. Then click on enter. Click on yes. Enter. Then select JavaScript. So to change it, you need to click on the down button of your keyboard. There's up and down button. So yeah, click on enter. Click on enter. No. Click on N. Oh. Then click on enter. Yeah, true. Okay. Okay, so Playwright has been installed. So the next part is for your extension. So you go to the extension tab. So the extension is that's the extension. Then search for Playwright. Anyone. So the Playwright, the second one is what you should select. Yeah. The next one you should search for is Cucumber. No, delete the Playwright and search for Cucumber. Then you take the second one also. And the first one I meant. First and second one.
So,
So then you be go to the your settings. Click on the settings. So the settings is so if you keep going downwards, there's a setting like a gear icon. Not there. You don't need to worry about the extension anymore. So move down, gear icon just after the profile. Click on settings. So you see profile settings extension. So you click on settings. Then you search for settings. So you see edit in settings or JSON. So you click on the edit in settings or JSON. So I'll give you a code so that you can copy and paste. Sorry, I've already sent it to the group elements. So it's on the Zoom chat.
So I should remove this one.
Yeah, you can remove it, but you don't necessarily need to remove it, right? So if you don't want to remove what you currently have, so you can delete what is on line 9, right? And Control Z. So delete what is just on line 9 only. Yeah, just delete everything on line 9. Then you will paste it there. Then you delete the 42. You delete line 42. Then scroll up. Then you delete line 9. Then you can save it. But there's some duplication already. So if you scroll up, you can remove line 3. Line 3 means it has a duplication somewhere. So there's a duplicate already. So delete everything on line 3. And I think then you're fine. So that is it. Yeah, that's everything you need to do.
I just save it.
Yeah, you've saved it already. So you can close the file. So I think you are good to go. Yeah. So you can stop sharing your screen. So please, Marvelous, can you share your screen? Marvelous here. Who, please, your hands are up.
Yes, I wanted to find out, do we have to install, write this code every time we're on a new project, or?
No, it's global. So it's saved to your project.
Oh, okay. So if you start a new project, it's going to work with the new project.
Yeah, it's going to work automatically.
Okay.
You don't need to. Okay, you don't need to do it multiple times. So it's project scope. It means sometimes that you want to make it project scope, then the way you do it in Visual Studio Code, that this setting is going to apply to this project. And that is very, very useful when maybe you have your organization rules. Maybe your organization prefer double quotation, or you as a person prefer single quotation. You can have Visual Studio to have a particular project rules, and that rules is going to be and that project rules is you just set it based on the project. But what we're doing right now is global, meaning that once you create a new project, you don't need to do it again, as long as you did not delete Visual Studio Code from your computer. So let's continue. Gabriel, I say Gabriel, Marvelous, and so that lady is not here. So I'm going to share my screen. So now we've installed Playwright. So we've installed Playwright already. So now, what about the next part is going to be Playwright test keywords. So these are the keywords that you are going to see on a daily basis as we write Playwright tests. So the first one is going to be test keyword or the test method. So this method defines a test so playwrights can identify that it is a valid test. So it's just for playwright to identify that, okay, this is a valid test. The second one is the page, and the page is part of the parameter that can be gotten from the playwright test. And it helps to open browser page tab. The next one is go to. So the go to is from the page, right? So it's one of the page method that allows the browser to navigate to a specified URL. And the next one is the locator. So the locator is a method for finding element on the page. So next week we're going to talk about locator in details. Then another one is going to be the expert. So the expert is used for assertion or confirmation to check if a test ran successfully. So it's mainly used for assertion. So in playwright we are expecting that this is going to have a title of X, and another one we have is await. So this keyword is required for all action that run asynchronously. So I think we'll discuss asynchronously next week when we talk about selectors. So I'm just going to show my screen, right? So this is my screen. It's a little bit big. So no. Let me just stop sharing my screen. So Ola, please share your screen. Thank you. Now, let us look into each folder structure of Playwright. So when we installed Playwright using the default method, it actually created some folders for us and some files for us, this is what we're going to be looking into. So the first one is the node modulus. So you can close your settings and the extension. So we don't need that anymore. So the first one is the node modulus. This is where our playwright is actually installed into. And the node module is very, very important. And it gets reinstalled anytime our package.json. So anytime we delete it, we can always install it from our package.json. So what is inside the node module is actually the real JavaScript file that was installed from our package.json and the dependencies. So for instance, now if we're installing Playwright, so if you expand the node modules, you see a package for Playwright only, right? So there will be one for Playwright, there will be one for maybe different packages that Playwright actually needs to run. So this is where we store our actual JavaScript file, but we are not to modify it manually. And that goes to our package lock.json. We are not to modify that manually, right? So those are used for versioning. The package JSON and the package lock.json is used to test things. So it's used to change. It's used for our dependency management, right? Then the next one is the git ignore. So like it says git ignore, just ignore it. So it's mainly used for git. When it was asking for GitHub workflow, so if you have selected yes, it would have initialized GitHub. And if you don't have GitHub on your laptop, it may ask you to install GitHub in some scenario. But it is used for CI/CD pipeline. But like it says git ignore, and git ignore is for things that you don't want to share to the public. Maybe we want to eventually put our test framework onto the internet in GitHub or maybe Azure, and maybe there's some environment, some secret keys, right? We're going to put it in now. So can you double click on the git ignore file, please? So that you can see what I'm saying. So the files over here, right, are not going to be sent, right? As you can see, our node modules can be reinstalled once we do npm install and we have a valid package log.json and valid package.json. So we can have what we have in our node modules with the exact same version. Right? So the version part is important. So the test result is automatically generated. Once we run our test now, we're going to see a test result. And similarly the blob report. So and we can add multiple things. Like I said, is to exclude things being sent to GitHub from our repository or from our project. If we don't want to share it with the repository, we'll put it in a git ignore file. And the popular ones are the node modules and the .env file. So we'll talk about the .env file maybe next week. All right. So it's for environment variables, and we can have multiple .env. We can have .env.local, .env alone, and so we'll discuss that next week. So, and we can have playwright.auth. So the playwright.auth is for the, maybe if we have a folder for playwright and we have .cache as a folder, we don't want to send our browser cache. So we can exclude it. That is what we have on line 7. So anything you have in your .gitignore is going to be excluded in general. So can you double click on the package.json? This, not the second one. So this is our package.json. So let me just go through this with us. So for the package.json, the first part you can see is the name. So, and right now, it by default, it takes the name of our project, but our name can be anything, right? So the next one is the version. So what is the version of our framework? It's a version 1.0.0. Tomorrow it can be version 1.0.1, right? So we can change our version as our company desires. And description, okay, what is the description of this project? So it's very, very interesting to put your description, but not recommended, right? So you can put a description, oh, this is a playwright test to learn how playwright actually works from BlueSky, blah, blah, blah. So that's what's going to be in your description. Your main is your entry file. So remember last time when we did JavaScript, we created the index.js, right? So the index.js is the main file, is the starting point of our application or of our test. But when it comes to playwright testing, it is actually negligible. We don't need a .index.js for us to run our tests. So, and when we get into the test folder, I will explain why. So another one is the script. So the script is very, very important once we start configuring our tests. Like I said, we will not really use the default that Playwright gives us because we want to configure it to our taste and we want to make use of BDD. Then another one can be keywords. So you can decide to have multiple keywords, right? So you can have like as you can see, it's an array, so a square bracket. So you can have keywords for QA test, blah blah blah. So but people rarely configure authentic keywords. So another one is the author. So maybe this is a public or open source project and you want people to know that it is you that actually created this project, then this is where you're going to put in your name as the author so that they can reach out to you. And another interesting one is the license, right? So the license is ICS. So there are different licenses, and each license has restriction to what you could do. So that is, and that one is MIT. So we can have MIT license, meaning that the person cannot share the code or you cannot monetize your code. So that is for MIT. I can't remember, but we have tons of licenses. Right. So, and if you want someone to violate it and you report the person is going to pay a huge sum of money. So, and now on 19, if you notice, we have dev dependencies. So, in the package.json or in JavaScript or in Node generally, we have two types of dependencies. The first one is the normal dependencies, and the second one is the dev dependencies. So, the dev dependencies are the one that your project really rely on. For instance, our playwright test is our dev dependency. So our development dependency. So as we are developing our project, we require playwright. So another one can be dependency. So you can just if you change it from dev dependency to dependency, it's not going to really change, right? It's just going to tell by installing it to dependency. And if you open the package lock.json, right? So can you open it, please? The package lock.json. Just double click on it. Yeah, please. So as you can see, we kind of have the same thing there, right? So, but we are not to modify the package lock.json. So any modification is done in the package.json. So the lock there means don't not modify because it is automatically generated from our package.json. So you don't need to so even if you modify it, right, it won't stop anything. It won't spoil your project or it won't destroy your project, but just know that the change is not going to be last long again. Meaning that once you've updated your package.json again, the package log.json becomes modified or it it becomes what you currently have on your package of JSON. And it has some additional features, but like I said, it's not something we're going to deal with. Now, the next one, before we go into the test folder, is the playwright config.js. So I want you to open it. So this is our playwright configuration. So I talked about configuring that. Oh, we can configure very easily with playwright or with JavaScript. So this is where the configuration comes into place. So as you can see, it has a lot of comments. So for instance, we can on line 8, we have import.env. So I made mention of .env file, right? So this import.env is our environment variables, and maybe we want to get something from the environment variables. So we'll look at how we can configure our playwright with .env files going forward, and what we can install .env, and I'll show you how to install it later. Then we can import path. So path is right. So how path is it is actually a part of Node. It's not from Playwright. So it is from Node. It's from Node module. So once you import path, right, it means that you want to work with your current directory. So your current directory means that you want to work with Playwright framework without using dot dot dot. So you just want to use path. Then if you scroll to the right, you see path dot resolve, so you can resolve it, and it is a better way of getting our files, right? Or without using a dot 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 import xyz. So if you scroll down, let us start from line 15. We have the define config. So this is the method, or this is the function we are going to define our configuration. So you can scroll down slowly, please. So the test directory is our .test. So this is the directory. It's okay, thank you. This is the directory, or this is the folder where Playwright is looking into. So for instance, if what we currently have is not test, maybe we have T, or maybe we have len, or maybe we have something random, and it doesn't reflect in the test directory, our test is not going to run. So we can try that. So change it from, oh, it won't see it now. So we'll do that later. So that is for the test directory. So meaning that the directory where we want to run our test must be defined in the configuration. The next one is the fully parallel. So like I said, you can run multiple browser instances when it comes to parallel. So, and it is true. So we can choose to say no, or we can change it to false I meant. So you can decide not to run it in parallel. So we have forbid only. So this is for CI/CD. We have retries. So how many retries do we want on the CI/CD pipeline? Do we want it based on the environment? If it is empty, right, or if it is true, we're going to do twice. We're going to retry twice. If not, we're going to retry 0. So this is a simple ternary expression that we have on 21. So, and you can decide to just make it 2 only, or just 0. So you can put it to what you want. So we can have workers. So we can have different workers, but this still relates to our CI/CD. So you can say it is CI/CD first in mind. A lot of configuration works with the CI/CD pipeline. Then the next one on line 26 is the reporter. So we can have different reporters. So if we don't want to use HTML, we can change it to PDF, and we're going to get a generated PDF file. So I think try changing it from HTML to PDF. Please try changing from HTML on line 26 to PDF. On line 26, delete the HTML. Yeah, so, or you can put it in JSON. JSON is JSON. There's no A. Delete the A. So, or you put your cursor on the reporter, right? Then you're going to see. So you can have a JSON, list, HTML, the likes. Well, you can leave it as the default as. You can say different. You can pass multiple reporter as a array. So you can have JSON. You can have as many as you like. Okay. Then you can even set the output file for each. So, and you can change it back to HTML. It's fine. So you can change it back to HTML. More, just show that you can update it. HTML, not LA. ML. Thank you. So if you scroll down, please, then we have the use. So we have the base URL. So the base URL, you can stop, please. Thank you. So the base URL is like our default URL. Maybe we're testing on example.com. So maybe we want to test the home page, login page, blah 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 pages. So our base URL is just going to be the example.com. That's our base URL. So the base URL is just like if you go to google.com, google.com is the base URL. So google.com/xyz is another page on its own. Generally speaking, this is very useful when we know that our project or our framework is just for that framework alone. Maybe we're just testing for that framework, then we know that we don't need to repeat ourselves and put base URL back into our test. So I'm going to show you how you can put your playwright the URL into the test before you run it. So that is it. So we have trace. So this is for collecting trace. So I said one of the features is for collecting trace. So that is for field test. Now, if you scroll down, so this is the browser section that I talked about. So can you scroll down to the projects? Can you scroll down properly, please? So it's okay, thank you. Now on line 37, if you're following, you see projects. So we can test with Chromium and we make use of the desktop Chrome on our browser, right? Another one is the Firefox. So we make use of the desktop Firefox in the device that got installed. Another one is WebKit, right? So WebKit, this is only if you have a Mac devices, that is when it's going to run. And on line 53, it says test against mobile viewport. So you can test on different, so you can either test the view based on maybe mobile Chrome. So which mobile Chrome are you working on? So okay, we're using Pixel 5, or if we're using mobile Safari, we're using iPhone 12. So you can change it to iPhone 16. So and it's going to be shaped based on how an iPhone 16 is going to look like. So as you can see, it's very, very easy to customize. So we have the mobile version, we also have the web version, and we can also use branded browser like Microsoft Edge, right? Google Chrome. So those are browser that is on your device. We're just going to use them directly. And we can have web server and we can have some commands. So that is basically the configuration in a nutshell. Okay. Now let's go to tests. So let's go to the next folder called tests. So click on example spec.js. So now I'm going to explain line 2, so because we're going to be using that keyword very well. So and that keyword is import. So if you want to, I won't say borrow, if you want to use one of Playwright's function, you're going to have to import it, right? So once we import it, it means that we can't use it. So if we were to delete line 2, what we have on line 4 and line 11 is going to be red, meaning that since we did not import it, that means we can't use it. So we can't use what we can't have. Or so we can't use what we don't have. So the only way you can have it or borrow it or get it is by using the import keyword. And you are importing, what do we want to import? So we have a curly braces. So we are importing the tests and the expert. So maybe we want to import another thing, maybe called browser. Then we'll say after the expert, we do comma browser. Everything from the playwright test. So this is how you import in JavaScript, but there are other different ways to import. So, well, generally, this is how you import in playwright. Then we have the test. So like I said, this is a function that shows that this is really, really a test and allows us to identify that it is a test. So if we did not have test here, and we have something else. You see, like on line 4, there's like a green play icon. The green play icon is not going to come up. Okay, so the only way we can have our test is by or have a test in Playwright is by using this test until we configure it. But by default, we're just going to leave it as the test. Then this as title is the name of the test. So the as title is the name of the test, and one the async keyword means it's going to run asynchronously. So asynchronously means it's not going to be blocking tags. So talk about asynchronously later. We'll have to talk about this. Then this page is this page is a parameter of this async, meaning that this is what we are using to interact with the browser. So the way Playwright works is the page itself is what is interacting with the browser. Then we have the await. So because it has a waiting mechanism, just learn this way. Playwright has a built-in waiting mechanism, and one of the ways to unleash the mechanism is by using the await keyword. But before you use the await keyword, you must make sure that the function you are using is asynchronous. So when we have an async keyword, that is ASYNC, then we should have what we are awaiting onto, because it's going to run normally. So we have page.goto, then we're going to the default Playwright website. Then this expect is just for confirmation, or it's for confirmation that our page, meaning that this current page should have a title of Playwright. So then can you run the test for me? So on line 4, there's a green button. Can you run it? So, don't you can expand the test. There's a green, it's like a green play very close to number 4. Towards your left, move your left. There's a green play. Run test. So if you click on it, as you can see, it did not say anything, right? But the test has run and it has probably passed. So I'm going to explain why in a second. So if you go back to the text explorer, so the text explorer is after where you click on installation, like a if you did chemistry, like a test tube icon, right, towards the left. Scroll down a little bit, like a test tube, just after the 4 boxes. You click on it. So we can run our test from here. So to run our test, so we would expand the tests. There's a test folder, right? Yes. So you can expand the tests. So there's like a greater than sign. That is to run all the tests in this spec. So you don't need to turn on it. You don't need to turn it on. Right? So there's an expand button. No, not there. Move towards the left a little bit. Keep moving to there's an icon like greater than sign. Click on it. Yeah. So as you can see, here we click on the example spec, which happens to be our file that we're working on. If you expand it, like expand the test. So click on it here. So as you can see, we have the as title and the get link, which are our test. So you can click on it and you run the test, right? So you run the test from there. You can also run our test from there too. So as you can see, this is what you do when you run your test. So as you can see, we're running with Chromium and it's making use of one worker. So if we want to use multiple workers, maybe because of we want to make it run parallel, then but it did not say anything and the test passed, right? So by default, because Playwright was actually configured to run in the CI/CD pipeline, it's run in the headless mode. So headless means that we don't need the interaction of the user. Your test is just going to run as expected. But when it's not headless, that is your normal mode. That is when you can see the browser. So to make it run, without using the headless mode. So what you do is you go to the playwright config dot playwright config.js. Yeah, click on it. Then scroll down so you can minimize your tests, or you can reduce the screen a little bit. So you scroll down properly. So when you have this use on line 28, inside it, right, on line 31, right, so you can put headless colon false on line 31, that line here, on line 31. You can type headless, so head and LESS, small letter headless, just like how you have it over there. Yeah, headless, then you have a colon. So colon is, I think, shift and semicolon, very close to L on your keyboard. No, shift and semicolon. You have to click on shift and yeah, then you click on, you type false, FALSE. No, false, FAL. Yeah, now yeah. Then have a comma. Put a comma in it. Then you click on save. You save it. Then let's go back to that test and run it. Just click on it and the test. Expand the test here. Then you run it. Yeah, you can run both of them. So as you can see, we've opened the browser. So that is how you configure. So that is how you change things in the playwright config. So this is 11 o'clock and I don't want to take so much of your time, but I think that is playwright in a nutshell. So we can stop the recording.